Hi.
Okay, good afternoon. After the series of deliberation and almost a year long of consideration of the various sections of the policy on our extension, we have finally come up with I guess, the best version of this document. But we know that there may be a lot of concerns that may have been missed in the coming up of these policies. I have emailed them to you this morning, so I hope you have read. Um, you have read that draft this morning, and some more sections and portions were added to it. So I will actually show you this afternoon kung ano yung mga salient features of this policy. So we have, number one, we have opted to adopt the name policies and guidelines in place of extension manual, no? So policies and guidelines on extension services of the President Ramon Magsaysay State University. The reason for which is so that it will have more more power in terms of how we can be guided by it as um, as we as we will obtain the mandate or the imprimatur of the highest governing body, hopefully, of our university. This will be this will have more force and effect once it is approved, no? So policies and guidelines on extension services. So I have benchmarked, and many, not a few, but as if I think from the community of higher education institution, um, there are at least four universities using the terms policies and guidelines. And I think this will apply in our case because we want that the policies and the provisions of the um, guidelines will standardize our operation in the extension services department. Okay, so as we have said, it has to be presented to the Board of Regents. But before that, we have to submit it to the Administrative Council. So I will present to you the final version of the guidelines. So walang kukurap po. So ito na po siya. Nasaan nga siya, Nerissa? November. So, do you have any comment on the outline? So this is the outline which is also the table of contents of our guidelines. So it has to be it has a foreword, an acknowledgement, and then the background, which was deliberated to be more concise, and then the detailed history is appended at the last part. So we have for chapter 1 legal framework, chapter 2. So we have actually how many chapters for these guidelines? Parang 6 yata. Okay, tama. So we have 6 chapters. So the chapters are the main divisions of this policy. and guidelines. Okay, so the first chapter is about legal framework. So we decided to include this so that we want the document to be one ano ba tawag dito? One document that will guide everything. It's like how do we call it? It's like a complete tool. It's supposed to be a complete tool for every extension worker. Okay, so you don't need to go to the library or search or Google to know what the legal framework um, of your mandate. Okay, then chapter 2 is about vision. So hindi pala muna. Babalik ako doon sa chapter 1. So we have at least 6 legal mandates, and also included in this chapter is the discussion of the sustainable development goals and other basis for extension, which includes also yung Philippine Development Plan, as well as I'm still thinking if we should include yung legacy agenda, since the time frame is coming to an end, no? Baka hindi na lang. So chapter 2 is about vision, mission, and the university extension frameworks, goals and objectives. So these are subdivided into articles, okay? And I hope you appreciate that this is a product of the consultations that we had, no? These were also submitted for editing by several officials of our and faculty of our university. And then chapter 3, enabling mechanism. So look at how the policy is outlined. So for enabling mechanisms, we have titled it so that we will be reminded that these provisions under this chapter will serve as tools to enable us to do our job in the extension services. So these are the organization and management. And then the next one is crucial because this was missing in our previous extension manual. Still current. So Article 6 is about privileges, incentives, and benefits. Okay, a product of deliberation as well as benchmarking from other institutions. And then it has a long list of benefits and incentives. This is to enable our forces to have more people, faculty and staff engaged, as well as our students engaging in extension. And then Article 7 is financial management and covers both locally funded activities as well as externally funded activities. Okay. And then Chapter 4 is the extension process. So we have arranged this based on the old extension manual. We have come to make a logical flow of the process of extension here. So Article 8 pertains to planning, needs assessment, and resource appraisal. Here we included at the latest inclusion is I will discuss. I will show you later kasi hindi nyo na the latest inclusion is the process of selection of Tama kami sa'yo. Sino nagpanda? Okay, the latest inclusion for Article 8 is the process of selection of clientele and community. So here we have specified that there are imperative criteria for considering clients and communities for extension partnerships, as well as the substantive criteria. When imperative criteria are met, so then we can apply the next set of criteria, which we will see later, no? And then Article 9 is about implementation and monitoring. Article 10 is compliance with extension and monitoring evaluation, which will include all these components. These documents that usually you are asked to um, secure in relation to the activities. And then Article 11 is about implementation strategies. So ito ay contribution po ng ating assistant director. And I think there are sections still that require more elaboration before we finally you can comment later when I present it. And then chapter 5, project components. So, and then lastly, chapter 6, amendments and revisions and transitory provisions. The purpose of the last chapter is to ensure that we are reminded that these guidelines are by no means permanent, no, set in stone, because it has to be regularly reviewed. At least mga 3 to 5 years, we have to see if the provisions still apply, no? And then, okay, there are provisions that are supposed to be transitory. For example, examples of these provisions are those pertaining to pandemic conditions, no? So, ilalagay lang po natin dito. So, supposedly nakalagay po diyan sa provision sa chapter 6. Followed by the list of references, appendices, and then there is also a list of annexes. Okay po. So, ito na po siya. I will present it very quickly because you have already read it several times. So, nasaan na ba siya? Saan siya na kayo? Ito siya. So, we would like to thank at this point our staff, Ms. Nerissa Marinuki, for doing the layout for our title. Nakita nyo na ba yung title? Ito yung title. So, ito yung proof na si Nerissa ang gumawa nito. Siya lang makakagawa nito ng ganong kabilis. So, siya. Kung nandyan na yung picture nyo, ay congratulations. So, ayan siya. And then...
Nakamute ako, hindi.
Hindi ka nakamute. So, ito na po yung guidelines natin. Yung guidelines po natin ay inedit, ni-layout, at gusto nating maiba naman yung... Although, meron pa ditong sections na kailangan ng discussion. So, papakita ko na rin sa inyo. And then, we have our final opportunity to say our last comments and suggestions as to the content and the itsura of our extension guidelines. Parang mali pa ito. Policies and guidelines. So, hindi na-edit. Pasensya na kayo. Edit ko siya ngayon na. Okay. Ang tahimik ka mo nila. Okay. So, ito na po siya. I-spell out na lang po natin yung PRMSU. Naririnig niyo po ba ako? Okay, this is
Yes,
the
ma'am.
background, and then chapter 1. Bali, chapter 1, wag nyo na masyadong tingnan kasi aayusin ko pa siya. But essentially, I've already discussed the content of chapter 1. Then chapter 2 is vision, mission, and objectives, goals and objectives, and of course, the extension framework. Okay, so the extension framework, medyo may edit pa rin dito, pero essentially we have already talked about this one, no? Ma'am, this is Ma'am Jo Espiritu's contribution to the manual, to the guidelines, no? So she also made the discussion of the framework. And then the next part is the extension agenda. Since some of the colleges are undergoing accreditation, and the accreditors are asking for the agenda. This is part of the parameters for accreditation on yung agenda. Napakadaga nito. So, ito rin yung ating, kumbaga, this is also the policy or guideline that will help us when we design our extension programs in our respective units. So, this is a product of the deliberation of the graduate school. As you know, the graduate school is composed of the senior faculty of our university, and there they have spelled out the agenda that represent all the mandates of all the colleges. Kasi kasama yung mga deans sa faculty ng graduate school, if you don't know yet, no? So, we have 7 comprehensive agenda, and we will have a more thorough orientation on the content of the guidelines some other time, no? But these are the agenda. And then the goal of extension, enabling mechanisms, as I have already discussed. And then we are still discussing on the modified organizational structure. Hopefully tonight it will be included in the final draft to be presented to our university president. Okay. And then there's a section here on the University Extension Council. Actually, we are supposed to have been meeting as a council. And hopefully we will have a standardized set of procedure or policies as to the regularity of the activities of the University Extension Council. And then the functions. Okay. The functions. Ito na po siya. Okay. And then ito na yung about privileges and benefits. So nakalagay po dito, nakapag-deliberate na tayo about this. Kung meron po kayong tanong ay pwede pa rin kayong mag-suggest or mag-comment. We have 10 minutes. Okay, so I will have to be quick in this discussion. Dito tayo sa hiring of personnel, and then this one is a another new provision which is about capability building of extension personnel. And here we have said that extension personnel have to undergo training to capacitate us, no? So the kinds of trainings that we will be undergone are listed in this section of the policy. And then, okay. So yung sa privileges, we have a lot here. So hopefully, if this gets approved, we can negotiate for you may or what can I say, ano, yung just return for our commitment to extension. And then Article 7 is financial management. So this will hopefully iron out yung confusion about how local funds as well as those funds coming from external funding institutions providing for funds for extension will be managed. Okay, so nakalagay na doon. And then, the extension process, ito yung nabanggit ko kanina. So, ito po siya. And then, the newest addition is the selection of communities and clientele, no? So, yung mga imperative criteria, it has to be stated, although everybody knows this, but of course, for us to standardize nga yung operation natin, we have imperative criteria. That one that it has to be in accordance with the mandates of the proponent unit. And secondly, it has to be part of an approved plan. Okay, hindi tayo hit and miss lang. So we should plan carefully our programs for extension. And then the substantive criteria is used to consider clientele or communities for partnership. And this will be especially useful when you have several groups of clients and communities. Several. Nag-edit pa no? Sandali lang po Any comments po? Comments naman kayo? Kanina nag-uusap kami ni Ma'am Jo at alam niya na nahilo ako. Kaya nag-worry siya sa akin. Sabi ko, talagang we have to sacrifice a lot for the university and especially for this policy so that we can have a more, kumbaga, ano ba yan? A smoother direction for the future of our extension. And then we have here the processes. We have opted to maintain the old provisions on the processes because they're okay naman. So these ones also are embodied in the documented information procedure of our university. So yung tinatawag nilang ISO procedure, kapag naging documented information procedure ang procedure, we have to stick to it, no? And there are mandated documents associated with the processes. So dyan po siya. And then Article 9 implementation and monitoring. But the discussion is about monitoring. Okay, and then I think the discussion on the conduct of in-house reviews should also be under this particular chapter. Section 1 is about implementation, protocols, progress, and terminal reports. Okay, that's another DIP. And then Section 2 is the conduct of in-house reviews. Ito yung Ma'am good afternoon, Ma'am VP Beth, no? So, hindi ko pa nalaman kung paano tatanggalin yung editing margin dito. Does anybody know how to do this? Ito kasi gawa ni VP natin ito. So, hindi ko alam kung paano tatanggalin itong gray na margin dito sa bandang kanan. SOS. Does anybody know how to do this? This one. At saka tatanggalin na natin yung mga comments dito. Kasi final version na ito. But at the moment, for the information of everybody, this document is being proofread by our Dr. Esme Cabal. No? So wala din dito siya sa meeting na ito, but we will appreciate the proofreading. No? And then we have Article 10, compliance with the monitoring. With the monitoring.
Dr. Cabal, Eden.
Yes, ma'am.
Nag-pre-accredit sila sa Santa Cruz.
So, hindi siya available. But, ano po yung feedback about the guidelines po?
Wala, hindi niya nabasa. Nasa Santa Cruz siya pala. Kailang maga pa daw.
So, bahala na tayo dito. Anyway, Article 10 is about compliance requirements. So, ito na yung mga documents na palaging hinahanap sa atin. So, and then the second part is about strategies. No? Implementation strategies. So, at least we have spelled out the specific sections, specific provisions of the policies. And also, this particular section will serve as guides for us on how to name the activities that we are doing already. Okay? And then, of course, section 5 is about convergence, which features different types of convergence, like internal and then convergence with government organization, sectoral, students. Baka mayroon kayong tatanungin sa students. Ang policy natin is that this pertains to partnership with individuals and organized groups of students in the pursuit of extension goals. So we are not requiring students to engage in any extension activities, but this is with organized groups of students. Okay, so who will be partners with us. So kasi marami namang mga organizations ang mga estudyante. So, and they are also involved in civic activities. So why not make them partners with the university extension? And then we have community organization, promotion, and online active advocacy.